You are now tuned in to the GNWY podcast.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the GNWY podcast. And do not forget to like, rate, review, subscribe, do all of the sharing you can so we can help these people's stories get out the best way possible. And today we have none other than Bek Barkocy. Can you make some noise one time for Bek, everybody? Okay.
I made a noise for myself.
That's fine. That's fine. If that's how you feeling, that's how you feel.
Feeling.
Yes. How you doing today?
I'm good. I got my power back
Okay.
a few days ago.
Shout out to the power.
So I'm living my best life right now.
ONG really came through, huh?
I know.
That's
Finally,
what's up.
what did we pay them for? I'm kidding.
To keep those lights on.
I think it's funny that people were sent bills during the outage.
Oh.
Like they're like, your OG&E bills due. And they're like, is it?
Is it? What am I paying for?
Yeah.
Right. Probably for them to be out there working. Yeah.
We're proud of them.
We're proud of them. So I appreciate you coming through to the podcast, even through this world pandemic and everything.
I know. I'm excited to be here.
You really made it. No COVID, right? You never had it?
I did have it.
Did
in
you? You
June.
did?
Yeah.
What? How was that? So how
It's
was
terrible. One, you can't be around people.
that? Right.
But okay, so I got it in June. I was probably in my bed for about 2 weeks.
Dang. What was all your symptoms?
Started with no appetite and exhaustion. And I was like, man, what is this? I feel weird. Then I remember bending down to pick something up, and I had that headache that just like pounds.
Right.
And that's when it started. And the headache just never left. And I was like, okay.
This is the COVID.
So then I just took precautions. And I lost my taste, I think like day 6.
Gotcha.
Then I lost my smell. So I lost it for about 9 days.
Wow.
That was miserable. That was probably the saddest part because you're like, I feel so terrible that I want comfort food or like something just to like hold me because no one else can.
Yeah.
And you can't even taste your favorite foods. So you're just like,
Dang.
I'll just sit here on the floor.
I'll just sit here on the floor. And you have no appetite, so it's like you can't really eat anything.
Yeah.
Wow. They're really just trying to take people out. That's good. Well, I'm glad you made it through that.
Me too.
And so are you asymptomatic? Is that what it... How can you tell?
Science is hard. I don't know. I don't know how you tell.
Science is hard.
Does anyone know anything about this virus?
I
don't
really
know.
don't. They're just trying to wing it, to be honest.
It's called fake it till you make it. And we're all along for the ride.
Yes, exactly. So I brought you on the podcast because, for one, you're super dope. And two, do you not think that you're dope?
I
What
like
was that
word.
laugh?
I was like, oh, I like that word. But you can call
different.
me Flossie.
Flossy. Okay. Wow. I brought you on the podcast because I think that you're really flossy.
Thank you.
And so, but you also are a really great artist. And so, I wanted to be able to, bring you on to, share with the world all of your talent and ability, And so, for one, what got you into being so creative and like all of your painting journey and everything?
How much time do we have? I'm just kidding.
30 hours, apparently.
That's true. What got me into it? I have always been artsy, crafty, always trying to get my mom to take me to Hobby Lobby as a kid or just asking for art supplies for all the birthdays, Christmas presents, everything. So I think I've always been artsy. I just didn't realize that you could make a career out of it.
Yeah.
And so I went to college for graphic design. Because I was like, well, this is logical. I can design things for companies and for people's brands. But I like to work more with my hands and just do a lot of things. And so sitting at a computer and just looking at this rectangle, I was like, I feel trapped.
Right.
And I don't love feeling trapped or having that structure of like, you have to work within this.
Yeah.
So I kind of ditched all that for a while. I ditched a lot of things. And I just kind of floated through life and was I'm going to travel. I'm just going to hang out. I'm going to chill and work part-time jobs that don't mean anything to my heart.
Right.
And then God came in and was like, I got to show you something. I was like, what do you got to show me?
Yeah.
And so I went through this whole season of healing and expectancy and understanding for him to show me like what my purpose was.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I found my why when I was in college.
Yeah.
And that was to love broken people in creative ways.
Yeah.
That's how I wrote it out. I was like, this is my why. Because we read a book called Start With Why, which is a really great book.
It is.
So I found my why, I think, in college, but I didn't have that heart or that, like, I guess, anointing or purpose to, like, attach to it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like pouring from an empty cup.
Yeah, definitely.
So it wasn't until about 2.5 years ago that I found exactly why I was born as this creative person.
Definitely.
So.
And then, so you got into painting just randomly, or you just started doing it one day and then were like, you know what, this is a thing?
Yeah, I've always been really good at the hand lettering side of things.
Okay. Like
just painting those signs
stuff.
you see at weddings that are like bride, groom.
Right.
Don't pick a side. We love one another. So, like, I painted a lot of those signs, and I hated it.
Yeah.
But it paid me money, and I was like, okay.
Right.
So I did that for, I think, like 3 years. Bartended in between. Worked at the plant shop. Just did these very interesting, kind of low-paying jobs that, like, a college graduate shouldn't. I don't know.
Right.
I should have been, like, striving for more, but 2018 was when it started, actually, with what I was eating.
Gotcha.
I just felt like crap. And so January came around, and I was like, I'm just going to eat everything that's whole and raw and amazing. So that was 4 months of just eating, like, vegetables, unprocessed stuff, nothing that was man-made. And in those 4 months, God kind of showed up and meeting me on my runs and had me run a full marathon. Gotcha. So it was over 200 miles, training miles of just, like, alone time and, like, no distraction. Yeah. That was where God could meet me, and, like, I wouldn't be distracted by anything else. I was just so tuned into, like, what my physical body was capable of and what my mental headspace was capable of. Yeah. And he just brought me through miles of healing. It was in the...
Literally miles.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
So it was actually race day, 26.2 miles ahead of me. And I'm just... My only playlist was worship. And it's, like, a weird pace to run to, you know? Mm-hmm. Except for when Kirk Franklin comes on, that's good. But, like...
Right. That's your fastest mile.
Wow.
Right.
So I left that whole process very pure, and I didn't want it to be tainted at all. And so I was listening to worship the whole race, and God showed me on the course exactly what he needed me to do, and that was to quit both my part-time jobs after I finished the race and go full-time into artist mode. And I was like, I don't even know what that looks like because I haven't been painting.
Right.
But I finished the race and quit my jobs. A lady actually came up to me after the finish line and was like, I just need to tell you that this isn't your finish line. It's your starting line. And I was like, what do you mean?
Breaking down because the body hurts and that word, right? That's amazing.
So I quit both my jobs after that, and which was scary because those two jobs were barely paying what I needed to pay.
Wow.
And so it was, like, probably the biggest step of faith that I've ever taken. Yeah. To this day, just because, like, there's that comfort in a paycheck that you get every 2 weeks, and you've lined your bills up with that, and you're still kind of struggling. But yeah, I quit, went full time, and I haven't not had enough.
Wow.
Like, ever since I quit.
That's dope.
So it's like stepping into that purpose and into my why. God was like, I'm going to show you what I can do.
Wow. That's philosophy.
And it's not even, like, the monetary side of it, but, like, the fact that I make a living by, like, sitting with people at coffee shops and hearing their stories and then painting pieces for them or about them. And
wow.
I just get to use color every day.
That's super dope.
That's so cool.
That's why you looked at the board and was like, look at the colors.
I was like, can I be the pink button?
Right. That's amazing. Well, that's super dope. I mean, like, so, okay, like, even on a deeper level of, like, what makes you want to, like, paint? Because a lot of people are, like, drawn to certain arts, you know what I'm saying? And so how do you connect, like, personally, like, through, like, painting? Is that like just a release and an outlet for you? Or is that just, I don't know, you just love it?
Sometimes it's a release and an outlet for myself, but a lot of my work is geared towards, it's like I'm stepping into the in-between for, like, a broken heart in my friend or in a stranger that I just talked to.
Yeah.
And then there's the canvas. So I step in here and I'm like, well, let me like paint some healing for them.
Wow.
So a few of my favorite pieces actually ended up being ones that I took that person's story, and my first layer is always a bunch of words.
Yeah.
It can be someone's story. It could be a prayer for that person or for something I'm walking through personally.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a poem I've written just to kind of like help me set that tone for the piece.
Wow.
And so I'll go in and I'll write like words and words and words. And as I'm writing these, I'm like talking to God. I'm like, show up in this person's life, like show them your face in a way they've never seen it, in a place they've never seen it, or they don't expect it. Wow. And so it's really cool to get to use something that I love doing to kind of carry some of God's glory into someone else's day.
That's crazy. So like that, even that vision that you were talking about, like you seeing yourself helping people through broken people through creative ways. And then now you're actually doing
seeing
that.
It happen.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
That's wild.
So now like my little motto is just pursue people and create joy.
Wow. So that's like your tagline?
Yeah.
That's dope.
Just because I feel like so often we forget to pursue people and we pursue our dreams or we pursue the next thing.
Yeah.
Just like a quick fix, a thrill, something we can Instagram about, but like people get overlooked. And so I just always want to go back to like pursuing that person next to me.
Yeah.
Or that person across the street. And just being a light in their life. But the reason why I said pursue people and create joy is because so many things these days create happiness, but it's so circumstantial, and joy is biblical to me.
Yeah.
It's from God. It's his, like, the joy of the Lord is our strength.
Right.
And so if I can create joy and like lift these people up that I'm pursuing just in like the name of God. Yeah. I don't know. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
It's
very cool, Bek.
Very, very cool.
That's what's up.
It's very rewarding.
Yeah. Do you have any like crazy like moments that like whenever you hand over a painting and somebody wasn't expecting like it to look like this, you know what I'm saying? Like, do you have any stories that you can be like sharing that impactful moment?
Yeah, I have. So my process is, my paintings are very abstract. I don't like paint portraits or any. I mean, I have, but that's not what I am the best at.
Yeah.
So my paintings are very intuitive and emotional, and some people say like prophetic. Because there are times where like God really does just meet me right there with the paintbrush, and I have no idea how I painted what I just painted.
Wow.
But there's been multiple instances where, because I don't love to send like photos before the pieces are finished. Because I'm like, my flesh gets anxious. Like I'm like, that's not good enough. This isn't what they're gonna want. And then I realize like, wow, I'm stepping outside of that anointing and that purpose that God's placed me in.
Yeah. And
making it about myself. And so I always have to like check myself. But there's been so many moments where I have somehow painted like locations of people's pasts in their childhood.
Really?
In my abstract pieces. And they're like, oh my gosh, this is my grandpa's like farm. This is the swimming hole we used to jump in, and like he passed away 2 years ago. And so it's like, I have chills. It's like all these people that end up getting a piece or even just shopping my like shop, they'll see it and they see that, whatever word you want to use, they see that piece of home or that safe space within a painting. And to me, that's really cool because it's like, I don't know how that
You were not even thinking about it. Right. Yeah. That's amazing. And so like, I mean, has there been any of those moments where like you're legit just handing over a painting and like people just like break down and like be like, yo, this is not what I was thinking, but like this hits a lot different. You know?
I had a client, well, she didn't know she was a client because her friend gifted it to her. They had me paint a piece for her friend who was going through a battle with cancer. Yeah. And I just kind of low-key painted butterflies throughout it. But they were very abstract, so it's kind of more of just like the subtle shape of them. And just the words peeking through and the way I scratch, like I like to scratch texture with like nails, or like leaves or branches I find outside. And And so just like even the items I used to scratch in were just like meaningful to them.
Wow.
Like they were objects in their life that they've shown up multiple times. But the butterfly was actually the same shape as the thyroid, which was,
oh wow,
I guess what she was struggling with thyroid cancer.
Wow.
So she's healthy and whole now, but like she couldn't believe that God literally just had me paint this beautiful painting with a bunch of little thyroid things hanging out in there.
That's wild.
I know, it was really beautiful.
That's
and
crazy.
I'm not like, well, I just turned 30, and I feel like ever since October, I've become more emotional. I'm like, is this real life? But
Right.
I'm not one to cry often.
Yeah.
Unless I'm at like church and worship is just hitting hard. But
Right.
I'm pretty awkward when people start to cry. So I'm like, hi.
You just start petting them.
Do you want me to? Do I touch you? Because physical touch is not my love language.
Right. Gotcha.
So I'm like, you can touch my elbow.
Right.
I'm getting better.
Right.
But that's been one of the things too throughout my work is when I do hand deliver pieces to clients or as gifts, they get emotional. So I'm like, okay, God, how do I traverse this?
Right. That's it. You just start crying.
Yeah.
Right. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that's amazing. So like, go ahead and like, what's the name of your business right now? I don't think we've mentioned that yet.
I do most of my work through product on Instagram. So
Okay.
it's product, but with the word raw. So it's PRA. I got paint on your table. I didn't even realize. My bad.
It's all for a purpose.
Okay.
Yeah. It's all good.
So product is PRAWDUCT.
Dope. Okay.
And that's kind of just, I'm putting the rawness in my product.
That's good.
Just trying to be real and transparent and
That's dope.
put it all out there.
I like that.
So.
That's clean. Okay. So then that's where people can follow you at, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's where I post most. And then I need to really get my ish together because
Yeah.
I have like product and then my website is pinklines.co because pink lines in the sky. Hello.
Was that supposed to rhyme?
It rhymed.
It
Didn't hear it.
It's okay.
It's fine.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, so I have product and then my website is pinklines.co, but that's in the bio. So it's all like linked together, but I think I should probably try to rebrand.
Got you. Yeah, especially if you're doing the product with the raw, that's clean. That's
I just
super
don't
tight.
like the letter P. So like when that's
Why?
from
Why?
like, I guess whenever I do all my lettering, I'm like, it's so ugly.
Oh,
What do
okay.
you do with a P? It's awkward.
I guess.
Yeah.
I never seen a P awkward, but I got you. That's dope. So do you steer clear of P words?
I don't know. I don't think I letter too much anymore, but
Right.
when I was like P's or like V's. V's are the worst.
V's?
Yeah, man. They're
Those-
just like, what do I do with it?
You did that. They're just. That's good. Yeah. P's and V's. Okay, cool. So I that's why I want to make sure like people follow you at and everything. So like, I mean, getting into your whole business and everything, how did you figure out how to create it and start branding yourself and even getting the word out there that Bek, has this business and everything? I know that you're in salt, so that's dope. So what were other ways that you got the word out there?
I guess my Instagram has kind of already had like I already had a pretty good following from when I graduated college just because I did so many hand painted signs.
Yeah.
So when I stepped into the painting side of it, my sound sounds weird.
I don't know.
Did I lose myself? When I stepped into like painting, it pulled in different people. I think because people appreciate art, but I also lost my train of thought.
How did you create your brand on like branding yourself and getting the word out there?
Okay, so product came from college because I used to go by Raw Becca, and so I wanted that to blend together. But more recently, I've kind of switched to Pink Lines Studio. That's the name of my studio.
Yeah.
And that being my favorite thing to do is to look up. So like
just physically
you
looking
go
up?
outside and you're like, whoa, that was put there for me. Like,
Got you. Okay.
it's just a good reminder for me to like understand that it's not all about me, and this day is not the only day, and this hour is going to pass by.
Right.
So for me, my favorite thing to do is chase a sunset. And when that pink hits the sky, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I fangirl over every sunset.
Yeah.
And so that feeling that the pink skies and the pink lines in the clouds do for me, it's like it removes this weight from my shoulder and just makes me breathe really deeply and like remember whose I am.
Gotcha.
And so I wanted my studio to be a space, because I offer workshops as well.
Yeah.
So like when women and children and stuff come in there, I wanted it to be a place that lifted that weight off of people's shoulders like the pink lines do for me.
Yeah.
And I wanted my artwork to do the same. So when someone's looking at my pieces, I just want them to kind of feel like a lightness about it.
Yeah.
And a relief and a feeling of being seen.
That's dope.
So
Okay.
now everything's kind of switched to pink lines, but I'm still product.
Got you.
Product
so your
of the pink
product.
lines.
Product of the pink lines. Wow. Okay. That's clean. I mean, God created the pink lines and you're a product of the pink line. Okay. I see that. That's super dope. So you created your brand and everything, and you're getting the word out. That's what we're trying to get to. Like, how did you start getting the word out to your people? It just started out as close friends, your family, and then now it's just like word of mouth, or how did that process happen?
It's always been a lot of Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not very good at like promoting things or myself.
Right.
And I'm actually pretty terrible at posting consistently on Instagram when it comes, just because the creative process is such a weird one. So it's like when you put so much emphasis on having to get stuff out there to show the people, it bogs you down and it like creates this hindrance in that creative space. And you're like, do I have to show up there?
It becomes like a chore.
And I don't like chores. I mean, I like them if it's cleaning something, but when it's like something you have to do, I'm like, man, do I have to? Which I understand why, but like, I think Instagram has just been a huge thing for my brand and my company. And then just really, it's just been God. Like, I really don't do enough when it comes to that, but the connections I've made with people in conversation and coffee shops and just talking to people and taking the time to sit with someone.
Gotcha.
They're like, well, what do you do? And then you get to tell them. And they're like, that's so cool.
Wow.
So
that's amazing. So you're just blessed all around. Okay.
that is a pretty accurate word.
Blessed Bek. Okay. That's dope. Okay. So I would like for cause we have people that follow us that, you know what I'm saying, they're in that creative realm and like either painting or just being a creative in general, you know? And so, I mean, for anybody that's out there, if you'd be able to like inspire somebody with something that Bek either lives by or like has inspired you, because I know a little bit of your story too. Like, I mean, you've been through a lot, you know, and so I don't even know if we would like to hit on any of that, because like that probably stems a lot of where your creativity comes from, right? And so because like you've been through a lot, so like I don't know if there's like one thing that you stand by and that you like speak over your life or anything like that. Like, I would love for you to be able to, we have a camera that's looking at you. If you can be able to like inspire somebody with like a one-line hitter or something, just so that some people can get a takeaway from Bek.
Okay. Well, I think one thing that I always try to show up with is transparency. Transparency it's so key to life, because my favorite thing is finding common ground with people who are in my life or who are just passing through, because I feel like when you find that common ground, that relatability, like that's where love grows. And I want more love in my life. I don't know about you, but
definitely
the world needs it. And so my favorite thing to do is just show up with transparency, with my workshops, with my friendships, with my family, with painting each piece. I think that's what's been key for me is, being unapologetic about like my story. Understanding that the things that we try to throw away and we try to discard, it's hard to look at the camera, so I'm just in between.
You're fine.
Love you guys. The things that we try to discard from our story or like hide or tuck away, that's whack. Don't do it. Put it up there, put it on display. Like, what we're trying to throw away, God's trying to repurpose. And so just show up every day in transparency, and in that, like, let people know what God's doing for you, what he has done for you, what he's brought you from. We can get into it another day, but I mean, he's brought me out of an eating disorder. He's brought me out of abusive relationships. He's brought me out of depression. Yeah. And it's not that it always just completely goes away, but when you have that transparency that you walk in, and you are able to have conversations with people and find that common ground with someone else who's walking through that same thing. Yeah. It just creates this bond where, like, the enemy can't get in and destroy it anymore. Right. Like, you're like, here's you walking in transparency. Here's another person walking in transparency. And when y'all link up, it's like, the devil is a lie. So you can't do anything. Yeah. But it's like, I don't know. I think that's all I got. And grace. I love grace. Transparency and grace. Those are the best ingredients. Yeah. That's good. You have no time to hold grudges or be petty. Right. Passive aggressive. So
definitely. Well, I bet those were the two things whenever we were in our SALT class and they asked you, like, about the Holy Spirit, and you wrote down those two things. Yeah. I wrote down understanding.
I don't remember doing that. I'm a terrible student.
You're funny. Okay. That's okay. That's okay. Well, I appreciate you coming through. I'm super excited that you have power now.
I'm excited.
Now you're able to paint in the light.
I know. I brought all my supplies home today. I have my studio, but I wanted to work in my living room.
Right. Okay.
I was like, ooh, I can do that today. So I brought my supplies home. Right. I was in the zone.
Yeah.
Luckily, Kelsey texted me.
Yeah. Reminded you about this. Yeah.
Because I was like, what time?
Right. Well, I appreciate you coming through. Thank you so much. We'll let you get back to your paintings. And so one more time, if you can tell everybody where to follow you on anything and everything.
Okay. My personal Instagram, where I actually talk a lot about, like, my life and what I'm walking through, is Bek Barkocy, and that's BekBarkocy. And if you want to follow all my creative things, that's product, PRAWDUCT.
Perfect. Well, I appreciate you coming through. Thank you so much.
Handshake.
Once again. Well, anyway, but thank you so much. I appreciate it. And once again, do not forget to rate, like, review, subscribe, share, all of the things, so we can be able to get these people's purpose and their story out properly. So thank you so much for tuning in to this week's Generation Y podcast.